ध्यायेत् सर्वविघ्नोपशान्तये गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुर्गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुः साक्षात् परब्रह्म तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः. So I received a couple chats from our group thinking about how COVID, like maybe I should just stop sharing for a moment as we are discussing this, and then we'll go into the shloka. How COVID is impacting all our families and the larger, in a dharma bhumi, how much of havoc can this create, and what is the role of karma, and how can this be explained with the karma theory. So I'll just share what I heard and then open to discussion if there are any other thoughts anybody would have learned from their gurus. There is something called as Vyashti and Samishti. Vyashti is the individual and Samishti is the whole group, everybody together, all the universe. So in a Vyashti scenario, we are doing our own karma and we get our own karma phalas because of that. And everybody is responsible for their own results. And sometimes everybody contributes. All of this, there is also a contributing factor to run the whole engine. That is the Samishti part. And we are all responsible for what Bhagavan calls as the chakram, the Jiva chakram. So we contribute to it to support and run the whole universe. So in that case, when we contribute, there is a lot of positivity and negativity that happens. And something like this occurs. I personally go back to, Bhagavan has to come to do Rakshasa Samharam, is how I would like to take it, then call it, Samishti Karma Phala. And even when there is the Samishti Karma Phala, and if you want to take it that way, how it affects individuals in this whole Samishti, everybody is going through this, but there are some individuals it affects comparatively lesser. I'm recording, Grantiji. So for some people, the impact is less. For some other people, the impact is higher. And some people, it could be a financial impact. For some others, it's a health impact. For some others, like me, it's more of a family impact, very personal to me. So every one of us have different kinds of results that we face, even in a Samishti scenario where overall you're looking at the amount of grief and pain that is and suffering that is going on, but what fraction of it is hitting us is going to be very individually presented. So that's my understanding of this whole Samishti and Vyashti karmas. And usually these are always in balance. I don't know if that made sense, or if anybody knows.
Sriji, can you please repeat that last what you said, the final sentence?
So even in a Vyashti scenario, the impact on individuals is going to be very different. In the same COVID scenario, some of us may face, higher amount of result that is negative, whereas some others may be a little more protected. So that is based on our own individual karma phalas again. Did I make sense?
So when that is the reasoning, then multiple people have it at the same time.
I know. So that's what I'm saying. I think the bigger, I had the first time it actually ever hit me hard and almost to the point of something that I absolutely needed answers at that moment was, I don't know if it was probably 2003, 4, 5, don't recollect exactly which year, long ago. A lot of people went to the north to do Kailash and I think Badrinath Yatra, and there were mudslides. And a lot of thousands of pilgrims died in that, and they got washed away in mud. And I was in India at that time, and every day in the newspaper we would see pictures of, many of these people, and I would think, like, they came to see you, Bhagwan. They came to get a darshan, and this is how, they have to end their life, and with, like, young people, old people, and everybody. So how it was explained to me by Swamiji, I think, like, and any other Advaita Vedantic philosophers that I have listened to, including Swami Tattvavidananda ji, is individuals have different kinds of impact. So somebody, like, many people are testing positive, but a large percentage of them are coming out of it and recovering. And somebody else is recovering for taking it, for a longer time before they recover. And somebody else gets it and, like, doesn't even happen, anything happen, no symptoms at all. It's all in my own family. We've seen different kind of scenarios, and how it affects family members. It's all part of the individual karma. So not each, like, the experience is not the same for any two people. Despite when you look at it at a macro level, it feels like everybody is suffering at the same time, but the individual impact varies from on a scale of 1 to 10. Did I make sense?
Did not know about Veshtis and Samashti, so thank you so much. Connection makes it better.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
But with air crash, everybody, all the passengers are dead, right? So how do you describe that?
And
That
how
was
many times have we heard of these stories where somebody was not supposed to be on that flight and somehow they got the ticket in the last moment they had to travel? Or some people who were supposed to be on the flight somehow missed it. So how do you explain that? Like, all samishti, just, a few people coming together, and it is not at a macro level, but it is not at the individual, but all of them, it comes together for them, I think. Right? How else can we explain that?
But it is only 1 or 2% who, don't come and the others are coming. But the rest of all those people, they are facing the same fate, right?
Yeah. And is it then, like, all karma phalas, and Bhagwan just, wants to do, give a result at the same time for all of these people? It's time for them. I don't know. That's how I can only, that's the only way I can reconcile it in my head.
like in tsunami also, right? So many people died. So together at one time, one cause.
Yeah.
Not that everybody is getting moksham. It's not, right? It's not that everybody's karma is finished and they're just going, right?
No. And
Uh,
moksha is, like, a rare thing. It's not like, everybody gets it. As always, like, manushyanam sahasreshu, right? Like, among 1,000 people, one person actually thinks that he needs answers. And then out of those 1,000 people, some people actually even find somebody who can give them the answers. And then on top of it, they have to understand it. They have to practice it. Moksha is something that is very fractional set of people who get. So in these cases, it's just, birth and death cycles. But when we see these mass number of people passing away with the same reason and same condition, and, like, there's so much suffering that happens, it just bothers us quite a bit. And I was, going through that last week, just watching news just bothers me, being a patriot, and coming from a patriotic family, all freedom fighters in my family. It just bothers me so much. I was telling my husband I want to go and volunteer, but again, what if you have to put the karma theory around? And for me, it's law of karma is just one part of it. I always keep saying there is the other side. It's just not law of destiny. What we do even in those scenarios is very, very important. How do we come out of it is very important. It's not easy.
Sriji, I'm not able to take it yet, so maybe I have to think a lot, because the one thing that's bothering me is everybody's getting the same treatment. Mass treatment, like a war, right? That is man-made war. There's a man cause for that decisions. This one is not not real, like at least to our extent, we don't know this is caused by a germ. So everyone's getting the same kind of treatment, dying at the same time, suffering through the same kind of things, all happening in one shot, just like that. So it may be a week or 10 days or whatever. So I don't know,
And is it, that's
Sriji.
what I'm saying in the early, like, when I started off, is it karma or is it, say, a Rakshasa Samharam needs to happen? And then when we think about any Rakshasas ruling over the world and, like, Bhagavan had to come, is that because of the karma that they were facing, or is it because, something, a havoc is happening and Bhagavan has to set things right?
Isn't this part of the collective karma, Sriji?
That's the samishti karma that we were just talking about. So you can explain it in both ways. Is it, is it because of karma people go through it and then Bhagavan comes and rescues when all of it is over? I wouldn't know. I've not heard of that. But I personally feel like, not all of these children and everybody have done so much of karma. I don't know. So sorry, I shouldn't even say that. Bhagavan has his reasons. For me, it's like, what, as a human being individually, what is my vyashti duty in a samishti scenario like this?
Because it spread. Last year was USA, terrible situation. Now they are slightly getting better, and then we had the Brazil, we have other countries. It's just like passing the ball, dodgeball. You keep passing. It's just like that going between the different countries, right? So I don't, yeah, it's the whole world. So you're looking at this kind of karma explanation for the whole world, for all the people at the same time.
But the amount of adharmam that is there in the world cannot be understated, right? I don't know if it is because of that or the amount of digging that we do, the amount of, even when we think about the amount of purchases, the amount of international travel that needs to happen, and think about, the scenario of what is that canal near Egypt? So $400 billion, and everybody was just focused on that 400 whatever billion dollars per hour. How much of those supplies do we need to go across, and how many things are we scrapping? How many things are we purchasing? How much did Amazon make during this time? I see my neighborhood packages in everybody's porch. How much are we digging out of earth, and how much more greed do we need? How much more do we need to survive and sustain? And
Yeah,
does Mother Nature needs to set herself and set us right? I think so.
it's this form is bothering me a lot. I know that this is a retaliation. It's kind of, an overusage and misuse that we didn't understand, and maybe we're being taught a lesson. I'm not sure
This
if
is harsh.
that is
This is a very
yeah, it is
harsh lesson that
harsh.
we're.
Yes. That's the only way Mother Nature can tell us, calm
If you
down.
remember,
We can,
when all of this started in the first 3 months, we all were happy that, it was locked down, everybody was home, and there were, like, animals roaming on the roads, and there's, like, birds. We've seen so much of positivity, and we felt like, okay, Mother Nature is setting things right. And that's it. Like, after that, we stopped wearing masks, and everybody just, back to normal, and the same back to greed. Does the second time, when we are talking to our own kids and say, don't do it, the first time will be easier, the second time we'll say, no, you will not do that. Is that's what happening? It is quite
Ma-
painful to see, like, all the
yeah,
suffering.
yeah. Mata Amritanandamai, she said that it is the nature's response to how we have mistreated the nature,
Yeah.
and that response is what she told. I listened to her lecture live. So what she said, it is Mother Nature's response, and her response is one response for the whole world. So she's not different. It's not being differentiated by caste, creed, country, language, nothing. So it's just a message that Mother Nature is saying, don't misuse. First, number one, make sure you are, what we have, ceiling on desires. Just don't overdo that. Second is always have the sense of oneness in everyone. So it has told those two. Those two are the explanations from Mother. But for me, from the karma theory, I couldn't get it, Sriji. I'm finding it very
No,
difficult
it's
because
very
I
difficult to
understand.
reconcile.
Yeah. I understand your point saying that everybody's treatment is different. All that's okay. But then what is negating that equation for me is that it's happening at the same time, and everyone is undergoing that. People who are dying is hard. It's very hard to see for their families, everything, and that's not one or two. Like it's like mass, right? So
Yeah.
that bothers me, because my cousin has undergone, and she's from Palakkad, and she said, oh, nobody in the world should undergo that. The suffering is that. I thought I'm gone, she said. She's
Yeah.
out now from hospital, but it has been so bad, so bad. She says, I have no words even to describe that suffering that much.
Yeah.
So
And
I said about
the amount of greed that is still happening, even in these kind of scenarios, people hoarding on hospital
yeah,
beds and
yeah. We never learn a
organ
lesson. Hmm.
organ scams apparently,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
all of that is a lot more bothersome despite these many lessons. How much more are we not understanding? And should there be a dharma movement? Do people understand what is dharma in these kind of scenarios? Is just
Yeah.
unbelievable.
Yeah,
So
I hope that light comes out, that light, that enlightenment of how we have to behave and change our ways to dharmic. I hope this is a lesson from that thing. So I don't know, but yeah, so I'm actually out of my mode, and I was watching India Today and all these channels. Oh man, they went interviewing the rural
yeah,
areas. We have families who have been wiped out in a day, in 10 days, 5 days, the whole family is gone. So I
yeah,
had so bad. And last year, the USA that's all could see here. We can't see other countries' things, but there were refrigerated trucks waiting outside. I saw in hospitals in USA. It was so terrible, and we've been going through this for a year almost. Today was my breaking point, Sriji. I sent you the message. That's why I'm still not over it. I don't know how to
yeah,
reconcile, and I'm trying my best and don't feel good. It's not about money in this situation. Like you say, Sriji, I would have loved to take a flight and go and help. This
yeah,
situation is we cannot also help. So we cannot go near, we cannot also help. And you're paying money, we don't know if the money is going to go and reach them straight. Because 2 years back, I went and a taxi driver in Kottayam, he told me, I was going to Chalakudi and all those places, he told me that his whole home, everything went, and he only got 10,000 rupees for a family of 5. Everything lost in his life, and he only got 10,000 rupees. And from here, we have billions of dollars that we've sent for the relief and things like that. So I agree with you about that corruption, and we don't know all those things. So all together, I feel the example of nature teaching a lesson. It is actually getting to my heart, getting into my heart more well than any other explanation. I don't know where I have to really go into this. Thank you.
yeah,
Sriji, I don't know if this is the time to talk about this. I hear the frustration of, especially in India, you even for reliable organization, you donate money, you don't know how much is really reaching people. So one thing I heard is with this, a lot of people we all know are getting affected, whether it's immediate family or someone in your village or someone where, the kids are left behind.
yeah.
Yeah.
Adopt family. Help kids with education is also an option.
Yeah.
Sriji, you'll be posting this. You're recording this, Sriji? No?
Yeah,
Yeah? Okay.
yeah. It is
Thanks
quite.
again, Sriji.
Thank you, Anuji, for the question.
Thank you, Sriji.
I know.
Yeah, I'm not going to say I'm happy with the answer or I'm happy or anything. I'm not saying but I got some things to think and I need to think more. So it has really affected me very badly, Sriji. So I am hoping that I can get better from this. Yeah, I don't know. And yeah, it has been very hard.
Yeah, and I think we have all reached our points, like, of mental, emotional, and physical resilience, and at a ticking point, and seeing what's happening is not helping. So my son snatches the remote control away from me. He says, "Mom, there is no point sitting here and crying. Instead, just go sit and start praying. That's what you can do, or send money, or do something else that is in your hands." And he tries to remind me of what I'm calling like the vyashti dharma, or what can we do at this point individually based on where we are, what is our current scenario, what can we do, is what we need to think about and think more positively.
Sriji, one other last thing. Sorry that it's taking
Please.
time.
Please.
While we were talking, I was just looking up, and like what we did, the Kadgamala Stotram, and more so many of the shlokas or so that is probably in the pipeline, is Samashti Sadhana, which is something we can do from a long distance, because we know that the prayers penetrate farther than even money.
Much further. Yes, they do. And lots of groups have organized, and I've personally attended, lots of Gayatri mantras. Gayatri Homam has been completed, by the Veda Union group, which is Satya Sai Baba devotees group in Europe. So I attended that one. There is an Indrakshi Stotram that's happening. And recently, we've also chanted the Dhanvantari mantra. I'm personally doing Trayambakam Yajamahe, that mantra. There are so many, the Krimi Samhara mantra that is also being chanted. So there needs to be lots of positivity that needs to rise, and the dharmam needs to stand. I think that's what's, even in these kind of scenarios, it's just unbelievable the amount of craziness that's happening there on on people. And I personally feel that between the social responsibility and personal responsibility, I keep thinking if individuals are purchasing something like oxygen concentrator, and thanks to Anita ji, we just purchased one for my family. And I kept thinking, when we were paying, oh my God, there are not enough concentrators that the companies can build, but now the hospitals are recommending people purchase them and keep them at home. And I keep thinking, if only I wish I could rent it, or I could distribute it to other people, because we are not going to use 24/7 for how many ever months that this is going to last. How many more concentrators do the hospitals need? How much more would it be helpful? So it's quite painful to actually think about what else can we do. It's quite hard.
You bought here, Sriji? You're saying?
Anita ji,
No
sorry
problem.
to put you on
Oh, no.
on the
So
spot.
I found out it's getting too much with expense and with customs, where you are not sure if it would reach or not. So one of my friends suggested a Indian company by name Lotus, so that he was able to purchase it. So that's the information I forwarded.
Yeah, and it was quite helpful. That service was, they were very responsive. And my father-in-law and one of my husband's cousins are both not feeling well, so that's getting delivered next week. Thank God my father-in-law just reached home day before yesterday, so he's doing okay. Otherwise, we have tickets. Both of us were planning to travel, and we didn't travel. So we are just looking forward to going in June. And I kept telling my husband, I think it's just my calling. I need to go and I need to support. I need to help. But I'm being told it's a crazy idea to do that.
Yeah, probably June, maybe too early too, Sriji. But talking about greed, I can't believe with all this, they have like remdesivir, that's the drug they're using early on. They have millions of glucose vials that were, sold in the form of like the drug. I mean, I can't believe, people are still doing that in India now.
So surprising, no? With so much divinity, so much of religion, so much of everybody is religious, and still practices are quite far from that. Yeah.
Exactly. And where is this coming from is what we need to think about, tracing the source of when we talk about dharma, how did greed get into it? And what's generating that greed and what's feeding that greed. Lots of conspiracy theories, of course, but yeah, it's unbelievable. I heard worse.
Yeah.
I heard
That's
worse
one
things.
reason why people leave, because of the corruption. Some people, it's one of the things that we can't live with our principles. If we are very strong with your principles, you're getting caught in that web, huh? So
I keep thinking, is it because a lot of us have left and that's why it's like that?
I don't know, Sriji. This leaving has started long back, right? Quite some years. It's been some years.
Thankfully, it's only
I
been a
don't know,
few
but
years,
before,
less than 100
yeah,
or 150 years, not more than that. And
yeah,
we've been
no,
shrinking as
true.
a country because all of the other parts are being just, being broken and taken or converted, etc., etc. So we shrink as a country, and somehow our dharma has been under a lot of stress and lots of international or other religious influences for so long as a tolerant religion. I keep thinking, like, how much more does Mother India, Bharat Mata, or Sanatana Dharma has to go through before Bhagavan feels like, yeah, you know what, this is enough, now I have to protect it.
And on top of all this, there is attack on Hindus and Hinduism also. They're killing a lot of Hindus. That's nothing that's happening. So
Yeah,
looks like all this is happening at the same time.
yeah.
No, dharma has to be restored. That's very, very important.
Yeah, Dharman, yes.
I see in India, it is going in the opposite direction. Every time I go there, it's such a, I feel very sad to see people being so greedy, way greedy than what we find people over here. Well, it is about 50 years since I left India, but still the greed is every time I see it going up and up and up. And I guess Mother Earth is really angry. And this is one of the ways she is showing it up, right? So
Yeah.
people have to realize that.
And the thing is, corruption happens everywhere. In some places, we wouldn't know it happens at a very, very high level and we would never get to know about it. In some other places, it's a smaller, everybody, all the, throughout the food chain, people are involved in it. And there is probably some of this, the poverty and things like that are reasons for it. And some may not be completely greed, maybe needs. And in some other places, like when we talk about Western countries, it's purely greed.
I have to agree with you.
May I?
Here it happens behind the scenes that we are not aware of, but I think it happens here even at higher levels.
Yeah, yeah. But Sriji, it's true. Yeah, my grandmother and the great grandmother, their times there was more dharmam, Sriji. Really, from their heart, they were full. I think that's what dharma, that dharmam has protected them.
Yeah. Well, protected, not as much as when we talk about Shankaracharya, even at that time, say Sanatana Dharma was under attack. And from a spin-off of Hinduism, it was from Buddhistic principles, and the only reason we would have not agreed to it is because it's they did not accept Vedas. Otherwise, it would just be part of Sanatana Dharma. right? How much of conversion happened at, through all, when we think about Cambodia, when we think about, all the Philippines and all of those places that got converted. So he had to work through and at least, bring us back to more of a Vedic lifestyle. So it's all comes down to what is my individual role and check boxes on how much of dharmam and satyam am I following, in what scenarios am I compromising it. What is my dharmam today? So when we think about, dharmam, take it back to the varnashrama dharmas. What is my varnam? What is my ashrama? And we choose our own varnam, by the way, at any given point. When I say I absolutely need to be there and I want to volunteer, it is the kshatriya dharmam that I'm talking about. And if I'm thinking like, oh, I need to chant and I'm doing pujas and I never did pujas asking for anything. So now I feel like I can't stop anymore. I keep just doing so much throughout my day. The first thing I wake up and say, this is why every activity that I do today is related to this. So I'm super careful with what I do, what I eat, what I say, because everything is just sending that positivity for the people that are suffering. So individually, what can we do is the only thing that we have in control. Nothing else is in our control. Go back to
I will emphasize one thing. Can I say one thing, Shriji?
Please go ahead. Go, Krishnaji. Yeah, please go ahead.
So I just want to, I know everybody is talking about COVID. I want to share my personal experience. So last year, during the early part of the pandemic, so I contracted the infection quite early in the pandemic. So I did, have quite a bit of symptoms. So during that time, there was a lot of fear and chaos because of a lot of uncertainties. And during that time, my brother and my sister-in-law, they actually, that is when they introduced Gita to me. The reason why I say this is I haven't changed myself. At core, I am who I am. I survived that, not, thankfully, with God's grace, no doubt. But as you said in your last sentence, I think I changed myself a little bit. I feel like maybe I'm a little bit better person than who I was before that event through Gita. I think I will be very thankful to my brother for introducing this forever. I feel like I think one has to have a pause for a minute or for whatever longer time it takes, and then probably a change will happen from within. Maybe that is probably the greater good the God is aspiring all of us to look forward to from this crisis. A deeper change from everybody, from far within, maybe from societies, and not only at an individual level, but far, quite deep. Maybe 10 years from now, maybe 20 years from now, we may see that change. We may not see that change obviously right now. That's just my personal thoughts that I just wanted to share. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thanks for sharing, Krishnaji. It's just, I think we all need to look up. We were just, in the chanting class, we were chanting the 9th shloka or the 11th shloka. Madgata pranaha. So, Machitta Madgata pranaha. So that's what we need. We need Bhagwan in our chittam and in our pranas. So we can actually we need to look up and think about what are we doing, where are we, and what needs to happen. What is our individual responsibility?
That's my favorite sloka, Guruji. Madchitta madgata pranaha bodhayanta parasparam katayantyasya nityam mam tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Thank you, Guruji.
Which chapter?
The one that we just chanted, Padmaji, in the 10th chapter.
Oh, that's the same. Okay.
Yeah,
That's what you
the three
said?
shlokas.
Okay.
Yeah, the three shlokas that I was talking about.
Okay,
that
you
one.
said 11 and 12, right? Yeah.
And 11, 12. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thank
Ji,
you,
like
Bhaskar-ji. Nice to
Krishna,
hear it again.
like Krishna ji said, I don't know about the rest of the world, but this group, because of the COVID, we're all able to get together and learn a lot from you. Thank you for that. It helps us, even helping us now to go through all this with some sanity.
Yeah. And that's what I was saying, right? Like even the impact on us comparatively has been lesser. And always, like, there is one saying I read in the Lakshmi Mata temple in Vellore, the Golden Temple. When we were doing the pradakshinas, I read something that stuck to me for a long time. If you happen to have, well, I'm not able to paraphrase or exactly what was written verbatim there. If you think you have anything that is a blessing, then know that it's an opportunity for you to help somebody else. Think about that, and the number of blessings we have each day, and how much is it an opportunity to be of help to somebody else. And if everybody can put if everybody can put somebody else ahead of us, then think about where the world would have been, instead of thinking, oh, I need to go first, or I need to be first. I need to hoard billions of dollars for some reason. And they will sit in a Swiss bank somewhere. But there'll be other people who are poor, who are malnutritioned kids, who won't even get basic food and water. But I'm going to sit on these dollars forever. Capitalism. Okay.
Now is Bill Gates, Shriji, capitalism, he's big, very big donor, very great people, Bill Gates and Melinda. They've donated lots and lots and lots and lots. Okay, they have lots, but they donated, and they have a lot of foundations and everything. But there is a simple thing of give and take, which they cannot adjust. What have they learned in this? If you are professing so much of individualism that you cannot, you cannot go with another person, or you cannot adjust, what have we learned in giving and taking? I felt that in my heart. Maybe I'm wrong, but I felt, oh my God, our Sanatana Dharmam is first talking about giving and taking, and have understanding in that. So we are not, it's about the way we can adjust, the way we have sacrifices, the way we do those things, and unknowingly how much it has helped us with harmony.
So I have my conspiracy theories about Bill Gates and his foundations. So I will not go into that topic. Just try to.
Okay, I just came in because we talked about good people and capitalism and money and everything. I understand.
Yeah, and look it up in terms of, like, foundations and things like that, and what kind of involvements could have been in this, even for the scenario that we are currently suffering under.
Same, Shriji, I did project on Steve Jobs, right? So same way like you, I have very though anyone says anything about the product, for me, I have something completely different, and I have to come to learn all those things there. Okay, good. Sorry, Shriji.
No worries. I apologize if this was not so relevant to Gita for anybody. So we'll go back into our favorite topic.
Sriji, I have one question, Sriji.
Please
so we have been chanting like Dhanvantari mantra, Mrityunjay mantra at home. Is there anything we can do? Like, I know the pain is happening, but when people are leaving this body, I just want them to go a little bit easily. So what do I chant for them? Like, that's my question.
Oh my God, Kranti ji. You're asking for this question now, Shantiji.
What else can I chant, Sriji? That's all I can do from here. So I want to know that. I've been meaning to ask you.
The easiest on mind and the best would be Narayana mantra. It is the mantra I'm trying to recollect, and I'm so bad. Like, when I'm chanting, it just comes as a flow, but when I'm speaking, I can't think of chants, I think. Somebody needs to help me with this shloka. There are 16 different Narayana mantras, Keshava mantras, and each chanted in a different scenario. And Narayana is chanted when somebody is leaving.
Okay, Sriji. Is it the Hari Ashtakam? Something? I have it in
No,
my
no.
notes, Sriji.
Not Hari Ashtakam.
Namo Narayana.
Shashi, do you remember?
Is that Om Namo Narayana?
Yeah, it's the mantra is Om Namo Narayana. But there are different, if you're in fear, you chant this nama. While sleeping, you chant this nama. While somebody is
I know,
sleeping, you
Sriji, what you're saying.
yeah, it's a very popular sloka. Everybody knows. So I'll post it. But Narayana Mantram is what the first thing, even if you remember, like, our elders, if somebody passed away, they would say Narayana, Narayana. And now I'm hearing, like, Om Shanti or things like that, but I still use the Narayana, Narayana. So that's the mantra. And it actually is both the positive as well as, helping somebody leave more easily. So it gives you both the benefits for everybody.
We also read a Ramayanam in that when the body is sleeping, like.
Yeah. Okay. Go back to Gita. Who would like to chant the 60th shloka?
I can, Guruji.
Please go ahead, Bhaskar.
Yatato hyapi kaunteya purushasya vipaschitaha indriyani pramatini paranti prasabham manaha.
So, did you want to continue reading, Bhaskar?
Okay, Guruji. I thought we'll read the Kaunteya, O son of Kunti, he because yataha of the one who makes effort, api even, vipaschitaha of the one who sees clearly, purushasya of the person, indriyani sense organs, pramatini very powerful, haranti take away, prashabham forcefully, manaha the mind. Because the powerful senses of even the person who makes effort, who sees clearly, forcefully take the mind away. O Arjuna, a person who has given up sense pursuits does not feed the sense organs. By using the will, he or she simply does not pursue sense objects. Only when the senses are with the person, meaning under his or her control, can steadiness in self-knowledge be accomplished. Thus, in the beginning, the will is used to keep the senses in his own hands. Anything that is within your control or power is called swavasa or atmavasa. And the word vasha means within one's hands. The money in your own pocket that you can spend as you wish is swavasha. If, however, your money is in the hands of someone else, it is paravasha. Naturally, you do not have the freedom to spend it as you would like. The other person must give it to you first. Thus, anything in the hands of another is called paravasha, and the one who delivers himself or herself into the hands of someone else or something is called paravasha. For example, a person who is totally overpowered by emotion or who is completely controlled by another person is called paravasha. He or she has no freedom. Still, discussing how one becomes a sthita prajna, one who is steadfast in the knowledge, Krishna said that first one's mind and senses have to be within oneself alone. Even though a person is a viveki and has certain knowledge, there is still something to be taken care of because of rasa, the taste for the sense objects is still there. If these are not taken care of, the person will deliver himself or herself into the hands of raga dveshas. The word yatataha in this verse means of the person, purusha, who is making effort. One may make effort and be a fool, murkha, but this is not the person being discussed here. The person who makes effort is the one who is viveka, who sees things clearly, is vipaschit. When this person's mind is not steady, but his or her mind is not the mind of an ordinary person, but one that is in the hands of senses and fancies. He or she is not an armchair viveki. This person has a commitment and makes effort in order to gain firmness, nishtha, in the knowledge. This then is the kind of mind that is being discussed here. Guruji, you want me to continue?
Yeah, please continue, Maskarji.
Yeah. The sense organs can be turbulent, vicious, and very powerful. They can be really shaking us up. In this verse, Krishna told Arjuna that the sense organs can even take the mind of a viveki away, meaning that they can take charge of his or her mind. Why? Because of rasa, the taste of the sense objects is still there inside the person. As long as the rasa is there, the sense organs will continue to take charge of the person's mind. As we saw earlier, the sense organs imply the various fancies that one has because he or she still has a value for sense objects. Thus, when we say that the sense organs take the mind away, we mean that the rasas rob the person of his or her viveka. By the time the person realizes what has happened, the sense organs, meaning the rasas, have already taken him or her for a ride. That's so beautifully said, Guru. The use of the word he in the verse indicates that all of this is very well known. The appetites that are there do not ask for any sanction. They forcefully, prashabham, take care of you. Therefore, what should you do? The only answer for the rasas is to gain steadiness or sthairya in this knowledge. In the next verse, Almighty Lord Krishna told Arjuna that this is done by contemplating upon what is.
Awesome. So we'll just spend a few minutes here before we move to the next shloka. So just, I think if anybody recognized this word, paravasha.
Guruji, that is actually used in different languages. I think this is like interesting. This is commonly used in Telugu, Guruji.
Exactly.
So when you actually paravasam and pulakarinta, these are all like the things that carry you away.
Correct. So when we use
would,
that,
would paravasha also mean that Atma is a part of Bhagwan?
Tell me a little bit more, Anuji.
Because I guess we say that it's I and me and all that. You actually belong to him. You are
Okay.
a part
Yes.
of him. So I am my vasha is paravasha, or
Yeah, yeah, very beautifully said. I did not think from that lens. Very good. Para is always like that, the para, right? The way we say this is apara, and then the para is the supreme. And you're saying para vasham to the para. So you're doing the sharanagati to the para, right? Is that what
When
you're
the
talking
other
about?
person itself is the Lord, I think Paravasa has the best experience, Guruji. That's right, am I right, Guruji?
That is
When,
exact experiential bhakti there.
yeah, I
So
think
somebody is, paravasham in doing a bhajana or doing a chant or doing a dance or something of that sort would be the
Bhakti.
paravasham in Bhagavan, in a bhakti mode.
Yeah,
But paravasham in anything material is this paravasha.
yeah,
And
bondage, probably. Yeah,
correct. And we as you just said, and I don't know if it is the same word, paravasha is like, it should be in all the regional languages. Not sure about the pulakarinta. They are completely different. Like, think about pulakarinta as like, something experiential, even if it is material. Whereas paravasha, it is taking us to a next level where we are surrendering to it.
correct, Guruji. Yeah, one is actually more of individual level. The other one is more of like Atmanyam Atmana Tushtaha. That's like more of Paravasam, as long as the Atma is the Bhagavan, and that's what
Correct.
we are connecting to. But when we go outside, it becomes like Pulakaranta, and that's actually the wrong connection, because it's whom you are
External,
connected
exactly.
to. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you,
On
Guruji.
external things.
Yes, yes, Guruji.
Awesome. So notice that, we talked about two words. I'll just, remind you again the technical terms, Shema and Dhamma, or Dhamma and Shema. And those who attended the Vishnu Shatpadi Stotram class, if you remember the first sentence, it is Avinaya Mapanaya Vishnu Dhamaya Manashamaya. So Dhamma comes first and Shema follows. So Dhamma is control of, I always get confused, control of mind, and Shema is control of senses. No, the other way around. Dhamma is control of senses and Shema is control of mind. So with sense control, we can control the mind. So if we wake up and we say, okay, I'm going to take a New Year resolution. I'm not going to do this from tomorrow onwards. But we haven't connected with our senses and we haven't figured out how to control that. And we are just thinking that I have a thought that I don't want to do this and I'm going to act upon this. And that's why we always say resolutions are there to be broken, right? Because it's not very easy. And how do we control senses needs to happen first. And that's what Swamiji is explaining here, is that sthita prajna, that's thairyam, that steadfastness in senses will come as the vasanas erupt. If you remember that other shloka, 54, not 54, prajahati yada kaman sarvan partham anogatan. As the as the thought of something materialistic that happens to the mind, somebody just curbs it right away and does not even get them to reach the sense organs. And the sense organs are always in control. They are supposed to provide information back and forth, and that's the only thing that we would do. It's when we do that, when Chittam converts them into vasanas, and vasanas just keep driving I ate a laddu and I miss a laddu and I need to have it. And then the influence on mind, it goes from there. We did not see one, just the thought of what the laddu tasted like, that is stored in my chittam, and then the processing happens, and therefore I cannot control, and I think I cannot control my senses, but all of this is working together as a cycle. So first thing, in order to avoid paravasha and being svavasha, beautiful words, I'm atmavasha, I am in control of myself, would be the first step, which is Dhamma. And Shama follows with it. Okay. Any thoughts before we move? I think, we have 3 minutes, so we probably will conclude here and come back to 61 next week.
I think the forces are almost like centrifugal forces, Guruji, the senses. That's what I always think. Like, it actually puts us out of the orbit of the God And when we actually, the discipline of the God puts us back into the orbit of God again. I think it's almost like one cannot exist without coexisting with God. Once we understand that it's all God pervading, then if somebody yells at me, if I say Narayana, then I don't hear the yell as exciting to my mind. So I said, okay, this is almost Narayana. And then you find one Bhagavad Gita, beautiful verse of whatever you can think of, like Nirvairyam. And then you kind of like, you constantly like chant that point. And then when somebody is trying to invoke you in agitation, then we think of like Anudvigva Manaha. Then we kind of constantly go into just talking to God, but you're interacting with outside, but you're talking to God inside. Say, hey, how can I use this knowledge to pass my life without getting disconnected from you? In pain, in disease, in life, and in agitation, he's there. And I think it's just connecting with him is actually amazing. Sometimes my brother actually tells me like, you're kind of daydreaming, or you're in a very interesting state of mind which you created. But I think that's continuous bliss, no matter when I'm in pain or when I'm awake or whatever. But I do believe I do get disconnected consistently, but I feel like lost. And then I get into all these 6 agitation enemies that really ignite me. And then I say, oh no, I should not do this. Why am I doing this? And then I go back, and it was nice to see all this beautiful summary of Shaji's, the other Guruji's class here. And I only did it 2 times, Guruji. I think I should do it more number of times. I kind of revisited the same thing. It was amazing. There was so much of information in there. And I keep using that information. That was actually amazing, because that's forces. I could not understand those 4 people are inside me. And those are causing my centripetal forces to be weakened with towards my agitation. So I thought I'll share that experience.
Yeah.
I just wanted to share one thing. When we were talking about Paravasam, there is a Paravasadeva Perumal temple in Dharmapuri, Tamil Nadu. And when we went there, that's our actually our family name is Dharmapuri Tirumala. Kuladeva. Yeah, when we went to the temple, that priest told us whenever we go and see that Perumal, we get Paravasam inside our body, and really we felt it. So it's beautiful temple. If anyone gets a chance, definitely it's a must-see place.
Very nice. Where is it, Gayatri ji?
Dharmapuri, Tamil Nadu. Yeah.
Dharmapuri, Tamil Nadu. Thank you.
Yeah, in Dharmapuri there are many Perumal temples there. Lots of temples there, but this one in particular, it's an old temple, but it's literally beautiful. We were supporting that temple because as a family we are doing it. So yeah, this is beautiful, and literally you get that energy when you are in the temple. You don't feel anything else. So it's a beautiful experience.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you for sharing that. I think most of those, like, when we talk about traditional temples from hundreds of years, when the pujas are going on, you just go into that mode, and somehow, even if you are among 1,000 people, pushing you and shoving you, something like even Tirumala, you just have the sense of just complete disconnect, and you're just out of the world, and you won't even know who's around you. And after you come back from the production, just suddenly you wake up from a different state, right?
True, definitely. Yeah, and I literally cry most of the temple.
Sridevi ji, on the topic which you were talking about, right, about the collective karma.
Yeah.
I have a small theory. I don't know it's based on what I've read. Is it too late to share it, or?
No. Please share it, Shaji ji.
Okay, because when we look at the collective karma, right? So based on what I've read from Swami Chinmayananda's books, every species in the world, they're all bound and interlinked and connected with each other. Because we live in the same world, we eat the same food from the food chain, we share the same resources, so everyone is interconnected. So the universal law of cause and effect will equally apply to all living creatures, and it will apply more on the human beings, because we have that sense, the 6th sense as well, right? Because with us, what happens is, like, we create the world based on our own levels. And when we consider the humans as a microcosmic unit, the humans represent the same world or the Jagat in a macrocosmic form. So whatever information we have, whatever resources we have, whatever knowledge and whatever ignorance we have, it's a combined and it's shared. And what happens is like each on the small action or a reaction a human being does leads to an action and a reaction in its own course, and the outcomes and ramifications gets reverberated throughout. So in other words, to put it, what happens is like even if I do a conscious activity or an unconscious activity, thinking, action, or a deed, it's going to affect the mass behaviors or the societal habits in one way or the other, in a short duration or in a long way to go, right? So based on that, when you start looking at all the Vishwam and Virat, or from a Veshti individual level or a Samashti cosmic level, when you look at the gross form, which is Vishwam, and of an individual, and you look at the gross form of the Ishvara or the Jagat as Virat, right? The microcosm of the Vishwam or the individual level is Tejasa, the subtle body. And for it goes to the global one, it becomes Hiranyagarbha. The Hiranyagarbha is nothing but the subtle body of all the living beings together. So anything that is unmanifested, avyaktam, everything is grouped into one particular group. And this microcosmic form of the Hiranyagarbha, which is combined of every living creature. So it is a cumulative effect of all the karmas that all the human beings have done. So in short, each one of us, whatever actions we do, either affects the Hiranyagarbha, which is a consolidated subtle body of the total. So when a lot of people in a negative manner or with a negative intent, with the intention of harm, do a lot, the Hiranyagarbha or the particular area will have more negative than positive. So that is why I'm assuming Shankara Bhagavad Pada said, Yada Pinde Tada Brahmande. So whatever the human body does, it gets reflected. And based on that, the outcome happens. Because every outcome that happens for a specific group could be a specific country or a locality or a society or even a country or even the world is the net result of all the actions and reactions all the people who are constituent of the group have done in total. But when we look at it, because we are short-sighted, we would think, oh, I have not done anything bad in this lifetime. Why is it happening to me? But we forget to think, what are all my sanchita karmas are? What are all the bad things I've done in the past? So that is one of the reasons when such kind of natural calamity happens, which I think might, based on what I've read, is certain people escape unhurt, nothing happens. Certain people are supposed to be at one particular location, they're unable to be there, so they escape. And certain people who are totally alien to that place get stuck in there because it is a group effect that all the group-minded people together have created.
Yeah. Exactly. And some people just, at that moment would have left the country, or some people just entered the country at that time and still get stuck. So I was just, looking at chapter 3, if anybody is interested, what Shaji Mahoday is talking about, that chakram that I was mentioning. So look up shlokas 12 to 16 or 17. Yeah, till 17. Or 18 actually, of chapter 3. It talks about the chakram and it connects back to the Pancha Mahayajnas that we learned from Satiji last week. So, and that's what Shaji Mahoday is talking about. What is our individual responsibility and how do we fit into this jigsaw puzzle called as the universal chakra. So again, I'll post it in the forum too.
Chapter 3, Sriji?
Yeah, okay. Chapter 3 from 12 to 18.
Thank you, Shadiji. So that means again, it's man's actions. It's human beings' actions that's causing this.
It's
from
a
that angle.
it's a cumulative effect that happens, right?
Yeah.
Because,
So
because our intellectual sheet and the mental sheet are the subtle bodies, and the subtle bodies for a typical individual is called Tejasam, or and if you're going on a macroscopic world level, it is Hiranya Garbham. So anything we affect does have a cumulative effect. And it's been clearly explained in Swami Chinmayananda's book, Kindle Life, if you want to know some of the basics there. It's on chapter 23.
Kindle of Life.
Kindle Life, Swami Chinmayananda.
Okay.
And if you go to chapter 23, it talks about the whole links there.
Yeah, Guruji and Rajiji, I think that's a beautiful explanation of all our questions. And I heard a line somewhere, it said, until everybody is safe, nobody is safe.
Yeah.
And I think that summarizes the word Samadarshanam. I think we should see Bhagwan in everything. And once we protect everybody at the same level of compassion, because I think even I think a lot of people say compassion is more stronger than gravity. Am I right? Because compassion is for the soul, gravity is for the material. Am I right? So I think compassionate to every single living being out there. I somewhere read this sloka from Bhagavatam 11.14.16, where Bhagavan says how the devotees, like as you said, Guruji, Tushyati and Ramati and understanding all this, he is actually so beautifully saying it. I don't know, we should learn humility and humbleness from Bhagavan. He is saying this in this beautiful way. He says, Nirapeksham Munim Shantim Nirvairam Samadarsanam Anuvrajamyaham Nityam Puyeye Iti Angrirenubihi. With the dust of my devotees' lotus feet, I desire to purify the material worlds which are situated within me. Thus, I always follow the footsteps of my pure devotees who are free from all personal desire, wrapped in thought of my pastimes, peaceful, without any feelings of enmity, and equal disposition everywhere and everybody. It was so beautiful, Guruji.
So
And thank you
beautiful.
for it.
It's amazing. I know, right? And we think we can actually control him. We can actually hoard his assets, and we can sell those assets, and we can just. And when we talk about,
Shriji, we value those. Swami's assets. And oh my God.
So when I was saying, like, early on, that, there has to be, like, a Rakshasa Samharam, I keep thinking, are we the ones that are bad and God's trying to punish us, or is God trying to save us from somebody else who probably, like, created all of this? So I think it goes both ways. We just, I think there is a self-pity for ourselves. So we think somebody else is bothering us, a virus is bothering us. We've been bothering everybody.
Shriji, and what Shadiji said, all these are symptoms of the Kali Yuga. Simple, very simple. Then because all the adharmam is causing all this, and the distraction is impacting everyone.
Yeah. So go back to the Pancha Mahayajnas. That's the very simplest way to start thinking further than ourselves. And it's a sadhana that needs to be done on a daily basis. Awesome discussion, everybody. We'll just, chant Mrityunjaya mantra once.
Shriji, what do you do for the yajna, Pancha Mahayajna, every day? What do we need to do?
So there's a Swadhyaya Brahma Yajna. So if you remember, I think in Vishnu Sahasranamam, is that where you posted it, Satiji? Would you be able to post it in Gita group as well?
Yeah, it was in Vishnu Sahasranama, Sriji.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I can in the Gita group also.
So there, like, Satiji put together a PowerPoint where she explains all the individual activities that you could do. The Pitru Tarpanam, I think I still owe the Pitru Tarpanam mantra, so I need to send that. So there is a Brahma Yajnam we do, like, Rishi Puja. So if you're doing yoga, we always chant, the Patanjali Stotram. If you're doing, like, some learning Sanskritam or Vyakaranam, we do Panini. So we think about all the rishis that have given us, the knowledge. So there is a Brahma Yajna by doing Svadhyaya. And then there is the Bhuta Yajna. So where we actually feed animals and birds. Atithi comes into picture. And of course, our own parents. So there are 5 different types of yajnas that we need to do on a daily basis. That's just, thinking of somebody else outside of me. Very basic, small little things that could be easily done, like, takes under 5 minutes. And of course, for Swadhyaya, something like that, you can always spend a lot of time doing Swadhyaya or doing feeding birds. Could just be one activity, but doing the basics will only take a very small amount of time. Okay, with that, we'll just chant Trayambakam Yajamahe, and then we'll conclude with the Shanti Mantra. Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Vrukshi Yamamritaat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Vrukshi Yamamritaat. Om Trayambakam Yajamahe Sugandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanan Mrityor Vrukshi Yamamritaat. Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinah Sarve Santu Niramayah Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Sarvam Srimannarayana Charanaravindarpanamastu.
Thank you,
Thank you,
Sriji.
Sriji.
Thank you.
Namaskaram.
Namaskaram ji.
Namaskaram.
Dhanyawad.
Guruji, Shaji ji, and
Shaji ji.
everybody. It was an awesome thing.